Hi everybody, Duncan McCall, co-founder and CEO of a company called PlaceIQ. So what I'm going to quickly talk about today, two quick things. One, quickly recap the evolution of this space and where we're headed. Two, I'm actually going to step you through some data here. So firstly, if you think of the evolution of location, we've sort of heard about this, started with this idea of proximity targeting, your device is near a location, we show you an advertisement. That kind of evolved into audience targeting. You visit locations, therefore you fit in a certain audience bucket. That then evolved into this concept of attribution. You have visited a place after we've shown you an ad for that place. It's a form of attribution. And what I'm really going to talk about today is where we're spending a lot of our time, which is this concept of analytics. So you think about what does that really mean? So location, as we all know, really connects this concept of people, places, and things. With this digital world we live in, when you've got this sensor with you all the time that is sharing opted-in location data, ultimately the real value is a set of relationships between these three dimensions that are created by the mobile device. So what I want to talk about is an example of how you can use this for analytics. So at PlaceIQ, we've been at this for 7 years. We just launched a new product that essentially is the ability to interrogate those relationships. We call this Landmark. And I'd prepared a talk here about a pretty interesting but rather dry Q4 retail foot trend study. And I arrived in Portugal and I thought, we've got the last session, last day. I think these guys want something a bit more interesting and entertaining. So I'm actually going to talk about seasonal migratory behavior in the coastal United States. So bear with me here. So I went into our system. So I'm in my hotel room 2 days ago and I say, I've heard about this migratory behavior and I wonder if I can find it in the data and tell a story. So I went to Panama City, Florida. This is just me screenshotting 2 nights ago. And I said, I want to see foot traffic trends to Chick-fil-A and to a bunch of bars and restaurants and see if I can spot this special behavior. The first thing I pulled up was Publix Supermarket. This is a pretty popular supermarket chain in the southeastern United States. And we can literally see foot traffic day by day into all of these supermarkets. And we're looking at the DMA of Panama City, Florida. And what you can see here is some interesting patterns. And I'm just looking at this, trying to interpret the data. I'm thinking, well, what's this spike here? This is going to be something interesting. And that actually is Super Bowl. So what you're looking at here, by the way, is a trend from January to April. So you're looking at a few months. And suddenly I'm thinking, well, look at the right-hand side here. What is this gigantic anomaly on the right-hand side that goes all the way from sort of, March to April? Well, this is this special migratory behavior that I've been looking for. And some of you may have guessed this. This is spring break. Now, spring break, for those of you who are not a native to the US, or I'm not, spring break is when a series of colleges have holidays and those people migrate to warm beaches, and based upon my research, they tend to stand on the beach, take pictures of themselves, people on stage, subsequently followed by drinking alcohol through what appears to be gardening tools. So suddenly, I found this spring break migratory behavior in the data. So now I'm diving in. I want to really interrogate this. And I said, I wonder if these college students, how they affect visitation to different categories. So I looked at Chick-fil-A, a very well-known, up-and-coming chicken sandwich brand in the US. And I said, I wonder if these spring breakers have an effect on the foot traffic. The first thing you'll notice here is, what are all these troughs in the data? Well, this particular brand of store is actually closed on Sundays. The founder is a religious guy and closed the store on Sundays. So now you can see, oh, that's interesting. But you see on the right-hand side, there's a nice bump from spring break. So I'm thinking, okay, when I used to do this kind of stuff, we would go out drinking all night and we'd go and have pancakes in the morning. So I bet I can find an interesting story in a pancake restaurant. So I interrogate the data, looking for this bump. And if you compare this to Chick-fil-A, again, we're looking at foot traffic moving into these stores. I was completely wrong. Looks like here, you see the gray line? This is foot traffic into the International House of Pancakes. And it's pretty much flat. Just old people avoiding spring break, one assumes. So then I'm thinking, where can I find a really good story to tell these guys? I want somewhere that is selling alcohol, sports on, Buffalo Wild Wings. For those of you who are not American or have not been to an American airport recently, this is a chain of sports bars. So I look at this, and there's an inside joke there for Americans. It is based upon chicken, not buffalo. If you look at this foot traffic here, now you see in purple, well, Buffalo Wild Wings really gets an interesting bump from spring break. So, okay, I found a narrative there. But you're just looking at overall foot traffic. It's not really the right way to look at this. So now we look at this from a perspective of share of visit. This is a new analytical product we've launched to say, if everybody we see going into these categories, how many are actually going into distinct brands? So what you see here is, before spring break starts, Chick-fil-A is doing extremely well, large share of visit, and then as spring break kicks in and all these college students are coming into town, you can see in purple, well, Buffalo Wild Wings is actually getting more of that new traffic. So a very interesting insight to see that Buffalo Wild Wings is doing better with this new traffic. And we can see here, confirming my hypothesis earlier on, IHOP is just churning along, right? Old people eating their pancakes, don't care about spring break. You can see this in this foot traffic data. So then I think, well, a better way to look at this would be the fact that Chick-fil-A has more stores than Buffalo Wild Wings, so it's not really fair to compare overall foot traffic. So now we look at another analytical metric from this data, which is how busy are each of these stores. So we take overall visitation to these stores, we divide it by the number of stores, and now we can look at store busyness. And now you see a very interesting trend here, whereby you can actually see that Buffalo Wild Wings is doing better than we ever expected. They're incredibly busy during the spring break period, serving alcohol to college students and chicken wings. And you can see that Chick-fil-A is pretty busy, but doesn't get too much of a bump, and IHOP, again, just churning along. So I'm thinking that's a pretty interesting story. But there was something on this slide that worried me, and that was this anomaly here. I can't put up a slide with a peak and not explain that. So I looked into this, and what happens on that day? You've guessed it, it's another American sporting event. So, America, they've got spring break, they've got Super Bowl. This is a college basketball playoff that's very popular, and of course, lots of people go to a sports bar to watch this. So if you're thinking, what is the takeaway here? My initial obvious conclusion was that the American economic system is highly dependent on the holidays, food, and sport. And, that was kind of my conclusion. And I said, well, wait a minute, I got to have a data-centric conclusion. So more sensibly, location-based marketing and measurement, it's really evolving from basic targeting, basic measurement, to an advanced analytical understanding of consumer behavior based upon opted-in movement in the world from mobile devices that we really passionately believe is providing a completely new framework for people-based and one-to-one marketing. So that's my data story. Thanks very much.